one question on democracy. देखो, इंडिया एज ए मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी है कि नहीं है? Let us focus on one thing: old tradition, and secondly, India as mother of democracy. Mother का मतलब क्या होता है? You are the older one and you created other democracies across the world. तो पहले first part देखते हैं. Is it justified to say that India have some influence of democratic tradition in its past? उसका आंसर yes and no both है. देखो, when you define democracy in modern terms, what do you mean? You mean electoral democracy, and secondly, rights of individuals. Right? In these two senses, if you are willing to use the word democracy, then no, India did not have. Election के कुछ cases है, उसकी बात हम करेंगे, but majorly electoral democracy नहीं थी past में, जैसे ग्रीस में या रोम में थी. And secondly, we did not have the concept of individual rights to that level that are to be protected by state. ऐसे नहीं था. Yet, ये हो गया no वाला आंसर. Democracy is a distinctly modern phenomenon. But हमें इसके साथ नहीं जाना है. Understand, democracy as a concept is an evolving idea. हर जमाने में democracy का evolution हुआ है. तो pre-modern era में भी there are certain democratic features which are present in certain parts of India. ठीक, इसको तुम deny नहीं कर सकते. अब which are those democratic features and where are those present? We trace the entire ancient Indian history from the beginning. Let us go to, yes, even before that, Vedic era. In Vedic, we have Sabha and Samiti. They did take political decisions. The Indra or the Rajanya, the leader, was supposed to be military leader. But कहाँ पे युद्ध करना है, कहाँ नहीं करना है, booty distribute कैसे करनी है, justice कैसे distribute करना है, that was all with Sabha and Samiti. The leader is supposed to be just military general. That's all. All the decisions were taken by Sabha and Samiti primarily. So you see the participation of people in major decision making process. इसको डेमोक्रेसी मैं नहीं कहूंगा, इट्स अ ट्राइबल सोसाइटी, हर ट्राइब में होता ही है. बट ठीक है, देयर इज सम ट्रेडिशन एंड दे आल्सो वांट टू एंश्योर उसमें झगड़ा ना हो. सो संगच्छध्वम संवदध्वम संवो मनास, आई टॉक्ड अबाउट इट ऑलरेडी. यू हैव सभा समिति एंड विदथ, एंड यू हैव फोर एलिमेंट्स: सभा, समिति, विदथ एंड परिषद. अब वी डोंट नो एग्जैक्ट फंक्शनिंग, तो उसमें नहीं जाते. देन यू कम टू द नेक्स्ट एरा, यू हैव गण संघास. So I will give you argument and counter argument both of everything. For example, in Vedic era you have everything, but the counter argument is that it's a tribal polity. In the tribal polity, such things are normal everywhere. That is the very मतलब of tribal. अगर एक राजा powerful होगा तो tribe थोड़ी हो, तो state बन जाएगा. Right? Then you go to Ganasangha. Ganasangha में you do see some kind of voting, some kind of, for example, Lichavi Ganasangha. In Lichavi, you have a few families coming together and taking part in voting. You have the commonly held property rights also. So much so that not only land is common property, but also sometimes women. So, 𝗪𝗏𝗪, 𝗪𝗏𝗪 becomes 𝗪𝗏𝗪 of Vaishali. She is not a property of any single man or any single family. She is shared. Right? So that much is the level of sharing of property and resources, which is a prerequisite for such kind of egalitarian society. But in reality, the common people do not take part in actual voting and election. These are some few families who control and share the power. So it is technically not a democracy. It is actually an oligarchy. Oligarchy. सो इलेक्शन के बारे में तो पता है कि oligarchy है, but is there any individual protection of rights compared to other brahmanical settlements, Magadha, etc.? क्योंकि यहाँ तो क्षत्रिय ज्यादा है, ब्राह्मण कम है, तो ऐसे भी नहीं है. We have some examples like in some city when Buddha was coming, तो वहां के गणसंघ के चीफ ने कहा हर आदमी रास्ते पे आए स्वागत के लिए खड़ा हो. क्यों भाई, नहीं होना? If somebody is opposing Buddha, he should have right not to welcome him, but no. Despite being Ganasangha, he is enforced to welcome Buddha. That shows that there is some amount of coercion present in Ganasangha also. So coercion happens not only in the proper state of monarchy, but also in Ganasangha. In that sense also, these are not democracies. But compared to the emerging monarchical structure in many Mahajanapadas, Ganasanghas are more egalitarian. There is more sharing of powers. ये तो आपको मानना पड़ेगा. ठीक? Then you go to Mauryan era. In the Mauryan era, we have an argument given to us by nationalist historians in 1920s, 1930s. वो ये बोलते थे कि there is a king, a monarch, who is supported by Mantri Parishad, a kind of cabinet. And that cabinet can sometimes override the authority of the monarch. Monarch ने कुछ कहा, जरूरी नहीं आप हर चीज मानो. कुछ चीजों में कैबिनेट कैन वोट एंड से कि राजा गलत है, हम नहीं मानेंगे, राजा को ओपिनियन चेंज करना पड़ेगा. तो इट मीन्स देयर इज सम काइंड ऑफ पॉपुलर चेक ऑन द पावर ऑफ द किंग. बट आज हमें पता है कि नहीं था ऐसे. मंत्री परिषद डिड नॉट हैव दैट मच ऑफ पावर, बट हिस्टोरियंस एक जमाने में कहते थे. द सेकंड, next you go to Dharmashastras. In the post-Mauryan era, we have Manusmriti, we have Yajnavalkya Smriti, etc. Yes. But it is not political, it is religious domain. Yes, you can, if you want to include Buddhist democratic ideas of polity of Sangha were inspired by Ganasangha, because Buddha came from Ganasangha. So you can talk about that over here. Even Buddha formed Sangha. That Sangha polity of the monastic life was inspired partly from the Ganasangha polity, which carried forward the tradition, at least in some kind of organization. Not only that, in the same post-Mauryan era, we have some cities also, like Takshashila and other cities, which are minting their own coins. अगर शहर अपने खुद सिक्के बना रहा है, तो cities have their own government structure. Cities also have some devolution of power. So possibly, if not completely independent Greek city-state, वो तो नहीं था, but we did have certain power devolved to cities. Even when Alexander comes to India, Alexander के साथ जो historians आते हैं, they mention about the tribal polities like Arjuneya, Yaudheya, Kuninda. The lots of polities are mentioned by Alexander historian कि यहाँ तो अपना अपना राज चलता है. Everybody is bearing arms and defending the state. 𝗬𝗪𝗀𝗍𝗍. आयुध मतलब weapon. तो जो they live by their weapons. तो पंजाब में आज भी चलता है, वैसे अलग बात है. तो that's the old परंपरा of 2500 साल, नई बात नहीं है. But even Alexander historians mention seeing some kind of democratic structures. Then you come to Mauryan, which I already mentioned. Then you come to post-Mauryan, we have Dharmashastras. The argument in the post-Mauryan era is that Raja is not completely despotic. He cannot do whatever he wishes as per his like. It is not despotism. उसके ऊपर भी अंकुश है धर्म का, ड्यूटी का, which he has to fulfill. हाँ, तो what I'm trying to, I'm not saying ये सब argument सही है. मैं तो arguments क्या क्या है, और हर एक का काउंटर भी है, हर एक का काउंटर भी है. ठीक है. I'm just pointing out all the instances where you see some element of democratic tradition in some way. But when I will finish my list, I will tell you which of them are more substantial, जो हम mention कर सकते हैं, which of them are not substantial, उनको mention नहीं करेंगे. But अभी समझ लो पूरा, है ना? Don't jump the gun. So the king is not despotic. उसके ऊपर अंकुश है धर्म का. He has to follow that. Then you come to early medieval or Gupta era rather. In Gupta era, we have again an example in Sanchi inscription. We have example of Panchayat. The oldest inscription evidence of the existence of Panchayat comes from Gupta era. Not only Panchayat, if you go to Bengal side, if we have other inscriptions which talk about district government, Adhikarana, Ashtakula Adhikarana, etc., where we have district boards which govern districts, and within those district boards there is popular participation. मैंने क्लास में बताया है कि local leaders of mercantile community, local leaders of certain caste, local leaders of certain professions, they all come together to govern the district along with the government bureaucracy. So there is popular participation in the local government. It's a very substantial achievement. Sorry? Guilds of the traders are self-autonomous. Yes, autonomous guilds. Even the king has no right to override the power of guild in certain cases. So we have cities which are sometimes autonomous and guilds which are sometimes autonomous. So some functional autonomy in different domain is also there. Democratic tradition. Then you come to early medieval. In early medieval, we have two very famous examples. एक तो है चोल एरा से आता है, उत्तरा मेरूर inscription of local self government, a fantastic inscription. परांतका वन के एरा से आते हैं. They tell us about even the voting, qualification, disqualification, everything. There is a limit कि वो primarily Brahman village में थे. We do not know what was the tradition in non-Brahman क्योंकि inscriptions बचे नहीं. But we guess वहाँ भी कुछ ना कुछ होगा. But we don't know much. So Chola inscriptions. And second example comes from Pala. The founder of Pala dynasty is Gopal. Gopal है कौन? When there was chaos in Bengal, all the people came and elected a king. From where the Pala dynasty starts. So Pala dynasty की शुरुआत ही election से होती है जनता में. That is very well attested in history. So founder of Pala dynasty, Gopal, was elected by people. So now what we have is from Vedic era till Chola and Pala, so many examples. Here, this Sabha Samiti has some weight. This can be used in the answer. Gana Sangha and Sangha has some weight. This can be used in the answer. Then Mauryan ko skip kar do, Dharmashastra ko skip kar do. We can go to Gupta era. District boards have popular participation. That is also attested and undoubted. Use that example. And then you can go for Chola and Pala. Okay. So दो यहाँ पे चार examples, 5 और 6. And then city 7 and guild 8. So you have these 8 arguments in your line of thought where you can talk about existence of democratic traditions in India. But it is not a democracy that is our meaning today. आज का जो कहना है वो नहीं है. समाज में inequality है, caste system है, varna system है. It is not every individual is equal. Democracy requires individual equality. जो कि modern concept है, that is not present. It is not electoral democracy completely. Secondly, it is not equality-based democracy. And thirdly, individual rights protection does not exist. So in the modern sense, it is not democracy, but it has democratic elements. हमने 8 example देख लिए. So this is one part of this is the major part. But when you talk of mother of democracy, it means we have given this idea to the world. यहाँ पे हम नहीं है. We are one of the continuously living oldest civilization containing democratic spirit. Yes. Even in the caste system, you have caste panchayat. हाँ पंचायत क्या है? In a way, within caste एक तरह की democracy है वो. सब लोग आएंगे और अपना निर्णय लेंगे. बिल्कुल है, क्यों नहीं है? So we have democratic traditions which go back to Vedic era. Yes. But दो चीजें गलत है. We have not this modern idea, and then we have not exported दिस टू द वर्ल्ड। अब इसके आगे जाके हमें एक और बात बोलनी है। तो आज की डेमोक्रेसी इंडिया की कहां से आती है? ब्रिटिश। अब देखो, ब्रिटिशों ने डेमोक्रेसी दुनिया भर में दी, जहां जहां वो गए, अफ्रीका में, अमेरिका में, इंडिया में, जहां जहां, चलो जहां व्हाइट लोग ही सेटल हो गए वो तो बात अलग, वो तो वो डेमोक्रेसी चलेगी। जहां जहां व्हाइट सेटलर कॉलोनीज नहीं थी, उसमें कौन सी ऐसी कंट्री है जहां पे उन्होंने दी हुई डेमोक्रेसी एक्सेप्ट होके आगे आज तक चली है? ओनली इंडिया। Everywhere else, in ex-British colony, you see some kind of military rule, some kind of political problems and chaos going on. तो अंग्रेजों ने दी, लेकिन उसके वजह से हमने कंटिन्यू नहीं करी, बिकॉज वी ऑलरेडी हैड अ प्री एग्जिस्टिंग टॉलरेंस, प्री एग्जिस्टिंग ट्रेडिशन। तो अंग्रेजों ने जब दी हमें तो उसको आगे ले पाए। अगर वो एक सतह नहीं होता, फाउंडेशन नहीं होता, तो ऊपर से लादी हुई डेमोक्रेसी हम नहीं ले पाते। दैट इज वेयर यू वुड एंड योर आंसर। ठीक है, कंप्लीटली डन।